People always ask, why didn't she leave after the first slap? But what they never understand is that everything is easier said than done. It's easy to judge from the outside until you're the one living inside the story. Tell me, how do you just walk out of a marriage you spent years building? How do you abandon someone you're deeply in love with? Someone who wasn't like that when you first met them? Someone you have a child on the way with? What if your whole life is tied to theirs? You don't just stand up one morning and walk away. You give chances, way too many chances. You hold on to the good memories, to the version of them that you met, to the hope that the person you love will return. We judge these stories easily until life humbles us and we become the very people we once swore would never be. This was Joselyn's story, a 29-year-old woman whose love story began beautifully. I mean, almost perfect until it wasn't. Joselyn met Malik at her friend's engagement party. She wasn't even meant to attend. She had already told her friend she couldn't make it because she had terrible cramps. But something in her said, just go, show face and support her. So she forced herself up, curled her wig, put on makeup and went for the party. Malik, on the other hand, was the best man. She had noticed him earlier. He was so good looking, attractive, the kind of man you can barely ignore the moment he walks into a room. But she didn't want to dwell on it. She distracted herself by catching up with her secondary school friends and trying not to eat too many snacks that would worsen her cramps. When the reception started, she finally got a clear view of him. This guy is not bad at all. She shifted her gaze away quickly. What she didn't know was that Malik had been watching her too. Their eyes met once. She looked away. Twice. She pretended to be busy. The third time, she couldn't help the faint smile. He even waved at some point. She laughed but maintained her cool. At the end of the wedding, she went to greet the bride's mother, and that was when she felt someone approach her from behind. She turned and it was him, Malik. He introduced himself, offered her a drink, cracked a few clever jokes, and somehow they ended up tucked in a quiet corner, talking like two people who had known each other for years. When it was time to leave, he offered to drop her home. She hesitated, but he didn't feel like a stranger, so she accepted. They exchanged numbers, and that was the beginning. They talked every day, sometimes for hours, sometimes till one of them fell asleep on the phone. They talked about everything and anything. Childhood, dreams, fears, heartbreaks, everything. Joselyn loved how she felt around Malik, how he made her feel. He respected her, he adored her, he listened before he acted. He was generous. If she mentioned something casually, he remembered. If she needed support, he showed up before she even asked. He was thoughtful in a way she wasn't used to. When he asked her to be his girlfriend, he did it in the sweetest, most intentional way possible. He took her on an intimate karaoke date, then surprised her by performing a poem he had written for her. Afterward, the waiter brought a plate with a small card. Will you be mine? Joselyn didn't think twice. She said yes immediately. 6 months later, they were inseparable. A year after that, he proposed for real. During a trip to Kenya, on a quiet beach in Diani, it felt like a dream. Joselyn moved in with him shortly after, and that was when she noticed the first sign: jealousy. It was nothing dramatic, just little things disguised as jokes. Why is this guy from work always texting you? Who were you with on the phone just now? It felt cute at first. She even laughed it off. A man caring enough to get jealous. Who wouldn't find that flattering? And besides, Malik was still the thoughtful, caring man she fell for. Then he became more controlling. Send me a picture of where you are. Why didn't you pick up the first time I called? It didn't happen often, just once in a while. Enough to notice, but not enough to read so much meaning to it. So she brushed it off as care. He wasn't shouting, hitting her, or being mean. He was just a bit too watchful. Joselyn convinced herself it was normal, that all men get a little jealous. Maybe he just loved her deeply. Maybe she was even overthinking, so she let it go. Malik still loved her so much. There was consistency, kindness, provision, and intentionality. Joselyn held on to the good. She didn't realize she was ignoring the early signs of something darker. 6 months after the proposal, they started planning the wedding. Their wedding was intimate, beautiful, and everything she dreamed of. She believed with her whole heart that she made the right decision. She married her best friend. What could go wrong? Marriage at first was blissful. Malik was very sweet and considerate, but the jealousy grew. He checked who she followed on social media, said things like, I just don't feel comfortable, babe. You know how men are. I don't trust people around you. Joselyn reassured him over and over again, and she also tried to love him out of his insecurities. One evening, after a friend's birthday dinner, Malik said, you didn't even tell me guys will be there. She was confused. Her friend group has always included guys. It's not like that, she said gently. We're just chatting up, Malik shouted at her, louder than he has ever done. What do you mean it's not like that? Oh, so now you're defending them. You think I'm stupid. His anger filled the room. He stepped closer, a bit too close. For a moment, Joselyn genuinely thought he was going to hit her. She froze. When he finally stepped back, she collapsed into a chair, shaking. That night, for the first time ever, she was afraid of her own husband. She barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she replayed the moment over and over again. Maybe he was actually a violent man, but she brushed it off, convinced herself it was stress. The next morning, Malik acted like nothing happened. No apology, no acknowledgement. And Joselyn forced herself to move on, not knowing that this was only the beginning. For a few weeks, things calmed down. Malik became gentle again and sweet again. But just when she thought things were getting better, he struck again. It happened one evening. He got home stressed and asked why she hadn't made dinner. It could have been a casual conversation, but he kept shouting as she tried to explain. Before she knew it, he had pushed her forcefully against the wall. She hit her head on the wall and fell. She started bleeding. Malik froze. This wasn't the reaction he expected. He panicked. Josie, what's wrong? God, I didn't mean. I'm sorry. We need to go to the hospital. You're bleeding. She sat in the car, shaking, crying silently, wondering how she got there. The nurses rushed her in, checked her vitals, and dressed her wound. They ran tests to ensure nothing else was wrong. The doctor came in. You're doing okay, ma. And your baby seems to be doing fine as well. Joselyn snapped. Sorry, what? The doctor blinked. Your baby is fine. I'm pregnant? Yes, 6 weeks, the doctor replied. Her heart sank. She wasn't ready. She wasn't even stable. And now there was a baby on the way. When Malik heard the news, he broke down. He held her, crying and apologizing. I will do better for you, and I will do better for the baby, I promise. This won't repeat itself. And Joselyn believed him. What could she do? She was carrying his child. This time, Malik's remorse seemed genuine. He hired a cook. He didn't want her to lift a finger. He told her to resign, but she refused since she worked remotely most of the time. He drove her to every antenatal appointment, kissed her tummy every morning before going to work. He acted excited, actually. Excited about becoming a father. Joselyn's heart softened again towards him. Maybe this child will change everything, she thought. 7 months into the pregnancy, it happened again. Malik came home agitated from work. She greeted him, but he ignored her. She asked what was wrong. He snapped. She confronted him for transferring anger to her, and he exploded. Things escalated quickly, and this time, he beat her up. By the time he came back to his senses, she was on the floor, bleeding, unconscious. He rushed her to the hospital. After several agonizing minutes, the doctor returned. They lost the baby. Joselyn had gained consciousness, but her child was gone. Her mother arrived crying, and Joselyn lied. She said she slipped and fell. Her mother held her, prayed for them, encouraged them. Joselyn buried the truth. Over the next few weeks, she barely ate, slept, or spoke. Her mind tortured her daily. What if I die? What if next time ends me? Is this what I'm staying in because I want to be a married woman? My marriage is just a year old. Who lives within a year? After weeks of internal war, she made her decision. She stood before Malik and said, I'm leaving. He begged, pleaded, and cried. But she was done. When he saw she wasn't changing her mind, something snapped. You ungrateful woman. You want to leave me. You think you can embarrass me. He grabbed her by the throat, choking her. He slapped her, dragged her by her hair. You're going nowhere. You're not going anywhere. We are bound for life. Her vision faded. In desperation, her hand brushed the dressing table. She grabbed the nearest object. It was a mirror and smashed it into his face. Malik screamed and fell back. Joselyn ran. She ran for her life and never looked back. 1 in 3 women across the world will experience physical or sexual violence in their lifetime. Some survive. Many don't. And yes, men experience violence too. If you are going through something like this, or you know someone who is, please speak up. Tell a friend, a therapist, a family member. Your life is more important than any marriage, relationship, or reputation. Staying for peace might cost you your life. If you were in Joselyn's shoes, what would you have done? Would you have left the first time or told someone? Let us know in the comments. Up next is the story of Paul and how his country's economic crisis changed the trajectory of his life. You don't want to miss it.